Hey guys, what's up? Zijin Cheng here, and this is the Elephone P3000s. The Elephone P3000s is a very cheap smartphone with pretty decent spec that looks pretty good all around. An octa-core processor, a big battery, and a good camera are all pros for this device. However, the most important thing is the user experience, which is exactly what I'm going to discuss. Let's get started. This phone has relatively thin side bezels, which makes the phone thinner for easier one-handed use, but is quite tall because of the large top and bottom bezels. Easily the worst part of this phone is how thick it is. I feel like I'm constantly holding a KitKat in my hand, which is actually still thinner than this phone. And the way the removable back cover sits on the phone doesn't help either, making it feel thicker than it really is. However, I found this phone to feel very light, even though the manufacturer's weight suggests otherwise. The weight is probably very well distributed to achieve such a feeling. The Elephone has a pretty decent build quality. It has a rubbery matte plastic body that doesn't feel too cheap at all, and is solid and durable. I'm also very fond of matte rubber back covers in general. It gives the phone a great grip and feels good in hand. It attracts fingerprints like a boss though. You have the standard capacitive buttons at the bottom of the screen that don't light up, and the power and volume buttons as well, which feel solid and well made. The power and volume buttons are located on opposite sides of the phone and have a good finish and solid feel. The back of the phone features the camera and LED flash situated within a circular housing, which has a metallic finish and makes the phone look more premium. However, some people find this round circle on the back of the phone ugly, but again, that's personal preference. The Elephone logo is found directly below the camera circle and is very shiny. The speaker grill is located at the bottom of the device. In conclusion, the Elephone P3000s has good build quality while being rather thick for a 5-inch phone. However, it is something that you get used to after a while, so I wouldn't worry too much about it unless you regularly wear super skinny jeans. The P3000s uses a 720p panel for its 5-inch screen. Viewing angles are good, but color reproduction is a little washed out compared to other smartphone panels, but nothing too terrible. The maximum screen brightness is also adequate, topping out at around 450 nits. I am satisfied with the P3000s's display. The pixel density is okay, but it lacks the vibrancy and punch that other smartphones have in terms of color. This display is nothing special. The backfiring speaker pumps out more than adequate volume. Quality though is average, it's not too clear or crisp. However, headphone quality is just about average as the audio chip used is not a great one, unlike the Kingzone N3 Plus which uses a Yamaha DAC. Call quality and volume are also adequate. In conclusion, anything sound related on this phone is average or close to average, so don't expect too much from it.
Now and then, and preferred tournament entry like we did for the last tournament we had. So thanks to all you folks. This week we do want.
With a 3150 mAh battery powering the power-hungry MTK6592 processor, I wasn't too optimistic about the battery life. Past phones with this processor have had pretty bad battery life, so let's see how this one pans out. I performed a web browsing test at 250 nits of brightness and reloaded a web page constantly until the phone died, and it took 6 hours and 20 minutes. I then performed the video playback test at 250 nits of brightness and played a video until the battery died, and it took 7 hours and 20 minutes. Not gonna lie, I was quite surprised by those numbers. However, does real-life usage confirm the good results obtained from the test above? Thankfully they do. I was almost able to get throughout the day with heavy usage, and was easily able to get through a day with moderate usage. A typical day's use looks like this. The phone was off the charger for 16 hours in total. 4G LTE, location, and Wi-Fi was always on, and I got a screen on time of about 3 hours. This consisted mostly of Facebook, news, YouTube, and a little gaming, and I had about 12% left. This is about moderate use. The Elephone has good battery life that most people won't have to worry about, which is something that Elephone should be proud of. In addition, the phone took about 2.5 to 3 hours to charge in total. Elephone has created a phone with good battery life. You won't have to worry about the phone dying on you throughout the day at all, unless you are a heavy user, in which case expect to plug in early at night. Elephone has installed Android 4.4.4 on the P3000s. In addition, it comes pre-rooted, which is pretty great. Elephone has barely touched the software on this phone, leaving it as stock as possible, which is definitely very welcome. They did, however, use a very lightly skinned launcher, which in my opinion is not beautiful at all, especially when they use the rounded icons. Installing a custom launcher like Google Now Launcher or Nova Launcher solves this problem. General use of this device is fluid, but not as fluid as the other phones that use the MTK6792 processor. You can tell that there's a tiny bit of stutter, but it's not anything anyone would notice over the long run. Basically, the smoothness of this phone is good enough, but it could be smoother. If you use this phone side by side with a Nexus phone, you can definitely tell that this phone is not as smooth, but is definitely more than good enough. It also comes with smart gestures, allowing you to double tap on the screen to wake it up or swipe left and right to change the music track. It also has a fingerprint sensor that I found to be quite inaccurate. It registered my fingerprint correctly 2 out of 5 times, which is not accurate enough, and as a result I have not used it since testing. It comes with multiple languages. Pause the video to see if your language is supported. Storage is also partitioned very well, with all the available space given to internal storage and none to the internal SD card. Intense games ran quite smooth on the 720p screen, even though it was using the older MTK6592 processor and 2 gigs of RAM. There was no stutter as I was playing intense games and other games as well, such as Boom Beach and Clash of Clans. The Antutu benchmark yielded a score of about 34,000, which is pretty good even for an MTK6592 chip. The Elephone P3000s comes with full quad-band GSM and WCDMA support, as well as FDD LTE support for the 800, 1800, 1900, and 2600 bands, which I'm quite surprised by, especially for an older generation MediaTek chip. Reception on this phone is good. I get about average reception in my basement, where my other phones either get no reception or a weak signal. I ran speed tests and obtained pretty good speeds as well. Wi-Fi reception is good. Bluetooth and NFC also work as expected. GPS performance though is not that great. It lost signal a couple of times while navigating to work, and was in general inaccurate within about 20 feet. Apart from the GPS, I don't have any complaints about this phone's connectivity. You don't have to worry about not being connected. Chinese phones traditionally have had pretty bad cameras. Does Elephone break free from this stereotype? I was pleasantly surprised with the performance of the 13 megapixel rear camera. It's probably because of the Sony sensor, because pictures are detailed, color is good, maybe a little cartoony, and contrast is above average as well. Low light performance is also satisfactory, as graininess doesn't overtake the picture completely in these situations. The front-facing camera didn't surprise me as much as the rear camera, it's just about average. Compared to Chinese phones' cameras like any of the Ulaphone's or M-Lace's cameras, this camera is quite a bit better than those other cameras. However, it's a little worse than my THL5000 and still a pretty far cry from the better Chinese phones like Xiaomi and Meizu. The Elephone P3000s is a great Chinese smartphone. At $140 US, this phone will get you great bang for buck. At that low price, you get a great user experience, pretty good specs, and a pretty good camera. In addition, there are lots of coupons that you can get that can lower that price as well. So who would I recommend this phone to? If you are looking for a budget Chinese phone, you won't be disappointed by this phone. However, if you are willing to spend about $20 to $30 more, I would highly recommend going with the new Elephone P3000s with the MTK6792 processor, as that phone looks like it is a much better phone for only about $20 to $30 more. The link is provided below. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button down below and check out the other videos that should be popping up right about now.